Well, it's been quite a night of volleyball to this point, and I'm sure we're in store for yet another good one here to wrap up the Centerville Triangular tonight. Back on Go SEC TV, I'm Dewayne Cook as we have our nightcap meeting between the host, Centerville Redettes, who come in at 3-5 overall on the season out of the South Central Conference, versus the Central Decatur Cardinals, who gave the Clark Indians all they could handle in a couple of sets. But Clark picks up their 7th win of the year, sweeps the competition here at the Centerville Triangular, and moves on, and will head back to Osceola happy this evening. No doubt about that. Central Decatur fell to 0-4 in that straight set loss, and they had their opportunities. I think they might have surprised. They surprised me. They might have surprised that Clark team, too, with how competitive they were in that match. 25-22, Clark took the first set, and then it took a 6-love run to end it to win the second 26-24 for the Indians. As for Centerville, we saw them earlier in match number 1 of the night against that Indian bunch, and they lost it in 3 sets. They came out, dominated the first set, 25-11, but Clark bounced back 25-16 and then won 15-10 in the deciding third frame. Here underway between these two, and Central Decatur unable to return it over to the Redettes, who will strike first. We'll take you quickly through our Northside Insurance starting lineups, with really no changes on either side here in our match, with Centerville putting out Faith Owens, Brecken Carney, Kanisha Ruby, Maddie Kovakovic, Alyssa Kessner, Rachel George, and the libero Emma Weber. That was Kessner up front with the block, and the free return is long from the Central Decatur Cardinals to give the Redettes a 2-love advantage. As for the Cardinals, Amy Potter, Georgia Pellicari, Mallory Horn, River Hammaker, Presley Jones, Lexi Jensen, and Emma Richards. Service error here from Carney is going to give it back over to Central Decatur. Richards takes a seat. Jensen back to serve. Bregan Lindsay into the matchup as well for Central Decatur. Adam Havard checking in. Glad to have you with us here on Go SEC TV tonight. Faith Owens around the block, dug by Lindsay. Free return by Horn. Overhead dig by Caraccio. Carney looking middle for Ruby, dug by Horn. Hammaker sets it for the Italian foreign exchange student Georgia Pellicari, and that's going to be point to Central Decatur. If a player's momentum takes them onto the JV court happening over to our right, then that will be a stoppage in play, and the point will go to the other side. Oh, overpass. It's all right. Look alive, AJ. Coming in hot. That's one of those as a hitter you like to see come up your way right there. How about an ace serve from Lexi Jensen? That one caught the back line just barely by the stitch of that Spalding volleyball. And Central Decatur answers the 2-love run to open the match from Centerville with a 3-love run of their own. Jensen didn't like how she tossed it up there. She'll do it again. Line drive serve. Weber got under it. Great dig there. Carney for Kessner. Her crosser dug by Pellicari. Jensen cut it off. Sent it right back over to the Redettes. Weber for Owens. You bet. Faith Owens. Nice swing and found room on the back row. That match against Clark was my first opportunity to watch the Redettes here this season, with Rachel George rotating in for Kanisha Ruby and Weber serving. And they played pretty darn well against those Indians, especially in that first set when they ran away with it 25-11. Owens gets blocked up front by Hammaker, but Centerville able to play it. Owens, the pass over to Carney, looking middle for George, off of Mallory Horn and out of play. Rachel George was also a big factor in that match against the Clark Indians. I had her down for 3 kills and a couple of blocks. She really made her presence felt with several touches, too, in the middle. Overhead dig by Richards, punched up by Hammaker, and a free return by Jensen. Weber to Carney, looking for Owens. Is that an over-the-net call? It sure was. Well, they didn't call over the net. They called a net violation on Hammaker. Central Decatur thought they got the point. They were ready to give it back to Emma Richards. I think Centerville thought that, too. But an error by the Cardinals does give the point to the Redettes, who are back in front, 5-3. Our Cosby's U.S. Cellular comments section is up and running. Feel free to chime in there. The Redettes put it into the net on the serve from Emma Weber. Always glad to have an interactive broadcast here when The Iowa Media Network is in town. Here we didn't have to go very far from our studios here in Centerville. Pellicari's serve dug by Weber. Carney with the bump set. And Weber and Kessner both might have caught a piece of that and sent it wide to the outside with Bailey Gwynn, the second-year head coach of the Cardinals, making the catch on the hop. Caraccio, the pass to Carney, just went right back on over. It's all she really could do with it. Jensen back corner. She got it down before Caraccio could get there. She showed the ability to do that in that matchup against the Clark Indians. Matter of fact, she really showed no problem whatsoever sending it back over on two rather than trying to set it up for some hitters. Pellicari with an ace serve for Central Decatur. And just like that, the Cardinals on a 4-love run to make it a 2-point lead, 7-5. Last year, it was the Cardinals who won this matchup on their home floor in 3 sets. Bit of an overpass joust won by number 13, River Hammaker, up above the net. She and Carney went head-to-head. Central Decatur 4-2 in the last 6 meetings against Centerville. This time the serve goes wide by Pellicari. First service error by the Cardinals gives the side out to the Redettes with Amy Potter taking a seat for Central Decatur. In comes Emma Richards again. And the freshman Maddie Kovakovic rotates in on the front line for Centerville. Bailey Caraccio back to the sideline. We also see Madison Castile enter to serve. Low serve, Pellicari. Overpass, George. Pellicari punched it up, and a free return by Central Decatur. Wow, what a defensive reaction more than anything. Weber's free return, Hammaker over to Richards. To the left side for Horn through the block, dug by Castile. George back over to Hammaker. Jensen back row, Pellicari free return. And a miscommunication by the Redettes. The Central Decatur defense earned that point. It was hectic. It was chaos. It's not what you coach, but they get the point nonetheless. Hammaker out, Richards to serve. And number 12, Bregan Lindsay back into the match. George an overhead dig on the serve, and Carney couldn't get there. Ball handling error by the Redettes, and a timeout by Tom Hill. His Centerville squad went up 5-3 since then. It has been a 7-1 run for the Central Decatur Cardinals here in set number 1. Well, they moved the red zone over from the home side right behind us here. I'm all good about it. I love the energy in the building. It's what makes these matches fun, without a doubt. I heard it was a really good one on Tuesday night down here, too, at Lakeview Elementary when the Eddyville-Blakesburg-Fremont Rockets were in town. Now, it didn't turn out the way of the Redettes as they fell in a sweep against the defending conference champs, but the energy was definitely felt. George in the middle as we're back to action here in match number 3 of the night, the last one at the Centerville try. Central Decatur defense plays it again. George. Pellicari backs up the initial dig. Free return over by Lindsay. Carney going to George a third time. That one will fall. Third time's the charm in that sequence for Rachel George and Brecken Carney as we show it to you again. I've been most impressed with the Central Decatur defense tonight against Clark and now here against Centerville too. They have really done well. The serve from Kiera Klum, who has checked in, is a good hard one, but Central Decatur's there. George gets a touch on the attack from Horn, backed up by Castile. Carney for Kovakovic. Caught enough of the tape to give Jensen a chance. Lindsay to Horn, free return. George the pass to Carney, back to Rachel in the middle, down before Pellicari could even blink. Back to within 2 for the Redettes. Klum serve high into the rafters. Pellicari camps out under it. Jensen's roll shot dug by Weber. Carney over to it for Kovakovic. Overhead dig by Jensen. Lindsay, cross court set for Horn and is too far out. Horn couldn't make contact. And just like that, a good timeout. It pays off for Tom Hill with his Redettes back to within 1. Good hard low serve. Horn up front, cannot be returned by Lindsay. It's an ace for Kiera Klum, the junior. Ties us at 10, a 4-love run out of the break for Centerville. Overhead dig by Hammaker. Horn over to Lindsay, free return, Central Decatur. Carney, Kavakovic over the tape, dug by Hammaker. Jensen dumps it off in the donut, diving save by Klum. George back over to the Cardinals. Jensen for Horn off the block, backed up there by Kavakovic. Carney gonna go back to the freshman on the outside, off the fingertips, off Pellicari. They kept it alive, and it long on the free return from Potter. That was sure close to hitting that hardwood from Kavakovic, but nonetheless, Centerville gets the point. And the lead on a 5-love run to make it 11-10. Klum right at Horn. Dug, though. Tips it over the block. George gets called for 2. Caught it on the way up and on the way down. And a side out for Central Decatur to tie us at 11. Lindsay gets a breather to serve. Back into the match, Presley Jones. Goes right at Castile. Carney for Kavakovic. Handled by Pellicari. Jensen for Horn off of George and down. The first kill for Mallory Horn, and she is a player to watch for the Central Decatur Cardinals. They are expecting a lot out of her back for her junior season. Kind of small in stature for what you normally see from a hitter. She's only 5'5", with Kavakovic sending one into the net and increasing the Central Decatur lead again at 13-11. But she certainly brings some power from behind that 5'5" frame. The serve from Jones, dug out by Castile. Carney's going to set it for the libero Weber. Overhead dig by Hammaker. Jensen back to River Hammaker. Overhead dig on the roll shot by Weber. Weber again from the back row. Hammaker to Jensen, looking for Horn. Weber, good dig. Carney looking for Kavakovic. Roll shot, dug there. Overpass. George, though, can't take advantage. Hit it long. With Central Decatur back in front by 3. Castile digs it, and George does not miss this time. Whew. A lot of heat behind that one off the set from Carney. Side out Centerville. Kanisha Ruby back into the match. Weber takes a breather. George to serve. Short serve, Pellicari got under it, overpass, over to Ruby. She'll set it, and that landed in. Boy, I sure thought that landed in on the near side. It looked weird, the logo's kind of there, so it's hard to see where that stripe is. I got to see this replay. An overpass, certainly. That was in. That ball is in from Kanisha Ruby. Central Decatur steals a point. 15-12, but Ruby gets it back. Hey, ball don't lie. Side out Centerville. Faith Owens back into the match. With Madison Castile, I beg your pardon, to the sideline. And Kavakovic to serve. She hit it into the net. Third service error by Centerville. And Central Decatur back in front by 3. Serving is number 3, Amy Potter. Goes long, went in the direction of Caraccio. But too much air under that Spalding volleyball. She's out, Emma Richards, the libero, in. Also, Kiera Klum taking a seat for Centerville with Alyssa Kessner back in, and serving is Brecken Carney. Horn, the pass to Jensen, sets it middle for Pellicari. It's one of the first middle sets we've seen tonight for the Cardinals, but Centerville ready for it. Owens off of Hammaker. Faith Owens has herself a couple of kills here in the first set. Centerville back to within 1 at 15-16. Showing you the replay there. Good swing, hitting it off the block. Kearney serve. Over at Jones. Jensen for Hammaker. Block back. No, Ruby caught a piece of it, but it came down on the Centerville side. The kill for River Hammaker, her first. Jones takes a seat, as does Richards. It's Jensen's turn to serve, and Lindsay back in on the front row rotation. Jensen at Weber. Kearney over to it, bump set. Kessner had to adjust off the fingertips of Hammaker. Horn, free return back over to Caraccio. Kearney, Owens roll shot. Oh, and ducking out of the way was Lindsay. Jensen, that one might have come up on her a little quicker than she thought. She for sure, I believe, thought number 12 was going to take care of that one. But a kill for Faith Owens and a timeout by Bailey Gwynn. Redettes hanging around. They are within one at 17-16 Central Decatur as we wind down our opening frame of the match. (17-16) Central Decatur leads it here in set number one of the third and final match of the night here at Lakeview Elementary. The Redettes home triangular. Centerville dropping the first match against Clark in 3. What a battle that was. And an ace serve out of the timeout from Emma Weber. The Redettes libero finds the back row, tying it at 17 apiece. Goes again with a hard serve. Richards digs. We got a loose ball. That's going to be a replay of the point. Had that happen a handful of times tonight here with both courts in action. A JV triangular over to our right from our setup. Thus the reason for our camera angle too. That's on the line. Emma Weber with another ace serve. Thinking it was long, both Horn and Richards on the back row for Central Decatur, but she found that white stripe. And giving the Redettes the lead once more at 18-17. Horn, good pass up front to Jensen, dumps it to the donut. Kearney kept it alive. Owens cannot get enough on it. Little pinball action there on the Redette side of the net, but nothing back over the tape. Richards out. Pellicari to serve. Lindsay back in, rotating on the front row for Central Decatur. Dug by Caraccio. Weber for George. Roll shot. High, easy one on the front row for Horn. Jensen goes right back out to her from the left side. Through the block, backed up by Caraccio. Kearney for George. Blocked back Hammaker. Kept alive by Weber and a free return by Kearney. Potter to Pellicari. Horn looking for the attack. Off the tape, George. Joust at the net, and Kearney wins the battle. A lift called, actually, as it fell on the Central Decatur side, and Hammaker was setting up for that joust. Out goes Potter for Central Decatur. Back in is Lexi Jensen. Also Owens and Caraccio to the sideline. That's Madison Castile and Maddie Kovakovic back into the game. Richards overpass. George. No, this time Hammaker got it. That time Horn over to Kovakovic. Kearney to Weber. Blocked back by Hammaker. Nobody home in the middle. As we tie at 19. Hammaker out. Richards back in to serve. And is Central Decatur asking for a check on their rotation just to make sure it's right? Well, whatever it is, Bailey Gwynn, as you can see there, having a conversation with our head official. I think about the speed of that substitution. Perhaps needed a little more time to register which numbers are checking in and checking out. Of course, with the libero, you don't have to go through the whole song and dance. And so whatever the explanation was to Coach Gwynn is heard. And we continue with the serve from Emma Richards, all tied up at 19. Weber to Carney, looking middle George, back corner, Pelicari's right there. Jensen for Horn. Weber, good dig. Up at the net, and the point goes to Centerville as it was an overpass from Weber, but Lindsay was setting up to go against George on a joust. Whatever works. Kessner out, in goes Kiera Klum to serve. Redettes back in front, 20-19. Line drive right at Pelicari, Jensen. Bump set, free return for Horn. Klum, I beg your pardon. Carney to George, dug by Hammaker, up at the net. George blocks it back and down on the top of the head of Potter. Rachel George's first block, but she's had a lot of touches as we give you another look at that one from the middle. There are a lot of them in this conference, a lot of really good middle blockers, and she is definitely near the top of the SEC. Timeout, Bailey Gwynn. Centerville opening a 2-point lead here late in set number 1. Well, we talked earlier about the schedule here tonight, the South Central Conference. That included some cross-country action out there with several schools in attendance here in the SEC at the Wayne Invitational. Back to action here in Centerville, and Central Decatur cannot return the serve that time from Kiera Klum, with the lead going up to 3 for the Redettes at 22-19. The Albia Lady D's win that invite at Wayne. That's back-to-back dubs for the Lady D's after they won their home invitational earlier this week as well. Central Decatur again unable to return the serve from Klum. And Centerville starting to pull away here late in the frame. To try to combat that, libero Emma Richards checking in for River Hammaker. Klum dug out by Richards, overpass. Centerville ready for it. Castile to Carney to George. Hammaker, I beg your pardon, Potter blocked her back. Was it a lift on Potter? Yes, it was. They did call a lift on Potter. I saw the lift motion. I just didn't see where it ended up on the floor. So just like that, set point, 24-19. Pelicari, the pass up front to Lindsay. Looking for Horn. Roll shot dug by number 8, Klum. George up front. Castile dumps it off on a free return. Off the speaker. Pelicari, great concentration to play that volleyball. George, the set. It goes long, and it was not touched. We'll pass along some of those other cross-country results when we get into set number 2 here, with this one winding down. Set point number 1 is taken care of by Central Decatur. In goes Presley Jones to serve. Also River Hammaker back in. Castile digs. Carney looking for Maddie Kovakovic off the tape, and that will give the Redettes the set 1 victory. The first kill of the match for Maddie Kovakovic. 25-20, Centerville captures the early 1-love lead against the visiting Central Decatur Cardinals. Stick around, set 2 coming up on Go SEC TV.